They heard it just as the wind shifted, a soft, strained growl from the back seat of a nearby SUV. It was supposed to be a quick stop off the highway near Redding, California, the kind of gas station where the pavement stays hot even after. Sundown and diesel engines hum in the background like a heartbeat. Ellie stepped inside to grab a drink. Jonah stayed near the car, idly scanning the lot. Beside them, black SUV idled quietly between a long-haul truck and an old sedan. The rear window was left cracked, barely open. Jonah noticed it just as the sound returned, low, aching, unmistakably. Alive. He stepped closer. That's when he saw the cage. Wedged between boxes, covered by a rolled blanket, the wire crate looked bent and rusted. Inside, something moved, just barely. A frail, spotted body pushed upward, claws slipped against. The bars. Tiny limbs shook with effort. Then, a paw pressed weakly against the inside of the glass. Not a house cat. Not a pet. A baby bobcat. Its fur was filthy, ribs protruding beneath patchy spots. One front leg hung limp and twisted. It tried again to shift, but the movement drained. The last of its strength. Its paw remained on the glass, trembling. Another growl escaped, fragile, faint. Not a threat. A plea, Ellie returned, the bottle still cold in her hand. Jonah didn't turn as she approached. What is it? She looked where he was staring and gasped. That's a bobcat, she whispered. They stood in stunned silence. The SUV's engine still running, the cage unmoving. A trucker walked by without a glance. A pump beeped. Then came footsteps. A man, mid-40s, shorts and t-shirt, coffee in hand. He seemed relaxed until he saw them standing near the window. Jonah turned. Hey, is this your car? There's a wild animal inside. The man didn't even slow. No, there isn't, he said flatly. Ellie stepped forward. We saw it. That's a bobcat. That's illegal, right? You're mistaken, the man snapped. Move. He climbed into the SUV and drove off without hesitation. No front license plate. The rear barely visible under a coat of dust, they stood frozen. But the image that paw on the glass, it didn't leave with him. Ellie unlocked her phone. Hands trembled. Can you keep a bobcat as a pet in California? She typed. The answer came instantly. No. Protected species. Legal without permits. Fines. Charges. This isn't just wrong, she said softly. It's a crime. Jonah stared at the road. Need to do something. Then, the SUV reappeared. Same vehicle, same growl of tires. Pulled in fast, parking near the air pump. The man got out quickly, searching the front seat. Pacing. Then, he made a call. They didn't try to eavesdrop. They didn't need to. Yeah, I'm still close. Had to turn back. Forgot the papers. I know. Cash only. I said that already. Ellie felt cold flood her chest. She turned away and dialed. 911. I need to report wildlife trafficking. Black SUV, no front plates. We saw a caged bobcat. We have a partial plate number. The SUV pulled away again, this time heading north. They're dispatching someone, she said. Jonah opened their car door. We follow him. She didn't hesitate. They got in. They stayed 3 cars behind. Enough to avoid suspicion. Close. Enough not to lose him. The SUV wove through traffic, heading out of Reading. Jonah drove phone on speaker. Dispatcher came through. Units are in the area. Do not engage. Keep eyes. We still see him, Ellie said. Black SUV, no front. Plate. Heading north on 273. He's doing about 60. Copy. Stay on the line. They passed fences, roadside brush, oaks scattered like bones. Ellie leaned forward, heart hammering through the rear window of the SUV. Something moved. A flicker of metal bars. The cage was still there. We can see it. The bobcat still alive? Barely. Her voice cracked. Maybe it was for the dispatcher. Maybe it was for herself. We've got highway patrol on alert, the voice replied. If he exits, let us know. If not, stay with him. The SUV didn't slow. If he sees us, Ellie whispered. "He won't," Jonah said, but his voice was tight. The road narrowed. Trees cast long shadows. Then the flash of lights. A patrol car surged across the median, silent until it wasn't tread and blue cutting through the late afternoon haze. The SUV braked hard. Jonah slowed too. They watched as an officer approached. The driver stepped out, irritated, gesturing toward the back seat. An officer opened the rear door, froze. Another joined him. Ellie gripped the dashboard. The cage emerged slowly, lifted by gloved hands. It looked even smaller now. Bent wire, barely held together. Inside, curled tight, unmoving, was the Bobcat Kitten. Blood matted his mouth, one leg twisted beneath him. But his eyes, they blinked. Slowly, a truck marked California Department of Fish and Wildlife pulled in. A uniformed woman got out, badge marked Ramirez. She spoke briefly with the officers, then opened the cage. The kitten didn't resist. He just closed his eyes. She lifted him gently, pressing him to her vest. Ellie stepped out of the car. "Where are you taking him?" "Local wildlife rehab. A closes facility with intake for this kind of trauma. Can we follow?" Ramirez nodded once. "If you'd like, just don't interfere." They followed, headlights on. No words spoken. At the facility, a wooden sign marked the entrance. Authorized access only, Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, through a window. Ellie and Jonah watched as the kitten was laid gently on a table. A vet worked quietly. "He's about 3 or 4 months, the vet said. "Male, severely underweight, dehydrated. Legs broken, at least a week old. No splint, just pain." "He wasn't cared for," Ellie murmured. "He was being sold." Number. One disagreed. They worked into the evening. Fluids, clean wounds, x-rays, ointment on cracked paws. They named him Echo. For the way his voice barely registered, soft and fading, but still there, Ellie whispered to the glass, "You held on." First few days were fragile, syringe feedings, teething pads, monitored vitals, no bare hands, no contact. But Ellie and Jonah came daily. They brought blankets, towels, warm discs. They watched. They stayed. On the 4th day, the vet smiled. "Stubborn, that gives him a chance." Echo began to lift his head. He tracked movement. He blinked slowly, and once he looked straight at Ellie. It was enough. By week's end, he could sit, then stand, then stalk. Rehab introduced enrichment feathers, natural scents, recorded rustles. Echo responded. He was learning again, or remembering then. One day he touched the glass. "Maybe he trusts us," Jonah said. "Maybe," Ellie replied softly. But when they asked about keeping him, the staff was kind but firm. "He's not a pet." And one day, they understood. They walked past a large enclosure. Another Bob, cat wild, healthy, pacing. It didn't look at them. It didn't need to. Ikaka would move like that one day. "We didn't save him to make him small," Ellie said. "We saved him to make him whole." The release came quietly. No ceremony. No spotlight. Just boots on frost. The crate opened. A pause. Then a sound leaves motion. Gone. Echo didn't look back. And they didn't expect him to. They went home. Changed weeks later. They found a puppy on the roadside. No collar, mud-caked, scared. Brought him home, wrapped in the same towel Ellie once carried into the rehab center. They named him Hollow. After the place they found him, not a replacement, just a reminder. A week later, a letter arrived. No note, just a photo. Snow-covered. Ground. Paw prints fading into the woods, stamped with one line. Release date. Echo. Every story here on Pawthos reminds us of the incredible power of compassion and how crucial it is to support animals in need. When you watch and share these stories, you're helping more rescued animals find the love, care, and homes they deserve. This animal's journey from rescue to rehabilitation shows just how important nonprofit rescue groups really are. Caring for rescued animals is more than love. It's responsibility, animal welfare, and wildlife conservation because of one choice. Echo didn't vanish in silence. He returned to the wild with strength, dignity, and a future. And in his absence, he left behind a new beginning for the people who once paused for gas, their hearts cracked wide open. Subscribe to Pawthos, where rescue meets the wild and love always finds a way.